So this is Sophie's Bebo page up on the top left. Obviously that's not me in the picture. That was something I'd just taken off of a website. And there's the little thing of the Twitter, things that she would say, and that was her Facebook page as well. I started to try and do some stuff in Machinima, which is where you take something like, for example, the Sims game, and you can take video shots of things that are happening in that game. And then it just in Movie Maker, I'm really not a techno person at all. It was one of the simplest forms that I was using. You re-edit the pieces of video that you've shot, and you can do like voiceovers or add text to make it look like something else is happening. So there was one particular scene in The Sims where these people were dancing, and I took a video capture just by simply pressing the button on the keyboard and captured that. And I chopped it up and edited it to make it look like it was her dancing with a guy, and I voiced over their conversation. So it was almost like a little cartoon that I was able to make through Machinima. And I was, like I say, I'm not a techno person. I have no way of doing that without it being as simple as that. Sophie was a columnist, so I recreated her column on the blog. And I called it, you can't see it at the top there, Relationship Rehab. And every week she would write her column, which was Relationship Rehab, and that would be her voice. And I made a point of putting that into a different font than the rest of the blog, because I wanted it to be quite clear that this was her work, and that's what would be published in the magazine that she worked for. And then the rest of it was her talking and telling the story. So people used to subscribe to Relationship Rehab as a column, as something separate to the story, to just follow that in itself. Halfway through the story, I went on holiday, which was a bit of a problem really, because I was writing chapters every day. So I decided that I'd make Sophie go on holiday too. So she came to Gran Canaria with me and my two children. And I put a note out first. I wove it into the story to say that, you know, this is part of her checking out what the single scene is like. Her editor told her to go, right? Great thing of writing a blog, you can just change it as you like. And I put a note out saying, Sophie's gone on holiday. If anybody would like to receive a postcard from Sophie, let me know. I had 83 people give me their home addresses to get postcards, which cost me quite a lot of my holiday money and postcards and stamps. But I also took a photograph of the postcard, which went onto the blog as well. So it's quite interesting, like I think you said, about the crossover between what's fake and what's real, and people like to actually have something real. And the little business cards I had made up, I put them everywhere. I used to go into Monsoon and put them in the shoes and the purses and airports and toilets. And I had loads of Sophie's contact Sophie, saying, hey, is this story about me? I'm Sophie and I'm staying single. And, you know, there was the crossover. You do meet quite a few nutters, it's quite scary, really. One day I was in Starbucks with my mum having a coffee and I was putting the cards around, and this guy comes sat at our table. We started to talk and I told him about the story. And he said, you know, I work in a bank in the city, I'll take some cards and put them around and work for you. Great, that's great. So we got chatting and I told him about it. He was okay, you know, just talking. That night, I got an email from him. No, I told him that I'd just written a chapter about a bikini wax, right? We were sort of laughing about the chapter at the moment. So that night I got an email from him asking if it was me. And I was a bit freaked out because although he'd emailed Sophie, I knew from our conversation that he was actually asking me things that he shouldn't have been asking me. And I've been trying prior to that to link him with some bloggers to get some traffic from their blog to mine. And there's quite a few quite explicit blogs in the States, women that are blogging about their sex lives and stuff. And I kept going over there going, hey, I'm Sophie, trying to stay single, come and have a look. And nobody was coming. So this particular night, I didn't know how to answer this email. So I thought, you know, he's emailed Sophie, but he's asking me. Do I kind of get into it? And it just seemed wrong. So I went to one of these blogs and I said, look, I've got a real weird situation. If you know somebody and you're blogging about your sex life and they are then asking you personally that, what do? Do you answer as you, or do you carry on answering as the character that you're pretending to be? And from that genuine question, when I'd completely given up on getting traffic from other people's blogs, from that genuine question, loads of people come across and said, tell him to get out of it, and you know, everyone had their things to say. So when I actually stopped trying to get traffic from other people with something quite genuine, I found that there was quite a lot. I mean, I had a site meter on the bottom of the blog, and I just saw all of this coming across from big, huge areas they were all the same. Like when I went to Gran Canaria and I left the cards there, loads of traffic from Spain. When I left the things in Dublin Airport, loads from Ireland. Really interesting to see where the traffic was coming from. These were some real honest emails that Sophie got based on her MySpace persona. I did change their email addresses when I posted them on the blog. I actually went onto the blog. I thought they deserved to be named and shamed really, but I didn't. I changed their email addresses so that they couldn't be traced and have loads of people giving them abuse. But that is how people began to interact with Sophie, that she was a real character. My little documentaries that I made, I called Pulling Power, and I wanted to try and create a sort of a separate brand away from the Staying Single story that people would recognise on YouTube, or if they had RSS feeds as to what was going on, they would recognise that as something in itself, separate from the story, but it really did bring people back to the story. And I set them some music, and hopefully it'll work, so I just wanted to show you a couple of them. So people would come across that quite randomly in YouTube as they were flicking through stuff, and then to have that at the end, they would go back and to see the story. So I saw quite a lot of traffic coming that way as well. When I went off to Spain on holiday, I integrated that to the story too, and I'd done another one of all the chat-up lines she got in Spain.